Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. This is Yousef Alshorbaji from Al-Wajh High School. I'm teaching you the amazing English through the book of Flying High 5. Today we have reached the 6th online lesson in Unit 4. Actually, this is the final lesson in Unit 4, so let's get started. Today we are going to go through let's say the skills of listening and speaking, perhaps some writing too. We are going to need students book page number 42, page number 44, workbook page number 30. But before that, okay, just checking, yes, we need to dictate you the last 9 words. We need to revise from 80 to 89. So please don't look at the screen. Try to write any 3 words from the list. 1, 2, 3. Do it right now. Okay, you may stop now. You can check your answer later and let's move on. Okay, first of all, we need to go through the student's book, page number 42. Listening exercise, exercise 1. Look at these photos. What do you think the connection between them is? What is the connection? Take your time. Use your imagination. You see here, this is a vase, a shoelace, اللي هو خيط الحذاء الرابط. Think. Okay. Now, listen to 2 friends talking about a news story, قصة من قصص الأخبار اللي جات في الأخبار, and check your ideas in one. تعالوا نسمع القصة ونشوف آرائنا. بسم الله.
Unit 4. Listening. Exercise 2.
Have you read this story about the man and these vases?
No. What happened?
Well, he was in a museum. Let's see. The British Museum, it says here, in London. He was walking down some stairs when he tripped over his shoelace and fell into a big Chinese vase on the windowsill.
Oh no! He knocked it over?
Yes!
You see what happened?
It fell onto the floor and smashed into thousands of pieces. But that's not all.
Okay, now we understand the connection between the vase and the shoe. Okay, what happened here? Now we move to the other exercise. Exercise 3. Listen again and choose the best answers. تعالوا نقرأ مع بعض. Let's read together. The man broke. وش كسر? 1 vase, 2 vases, 3 vases. إذا كسر كم فازة منهم لما تعثر. Number 2. The vases were not worth any money. ما تساوي أي مال. Too valuable to put a price on. غالية جدا لدرجة إنه ما يقدر يحطوا لها سعر. Okay, priceless يعني. ثمنها لا يقدر بثمن. Worth about 1,000 pounds. يساوي حوالي 1000 جنيه استرليني. Around 5,000 riyals, something like that. People said the vases could not be restored. لا يمكن ترميمها. هذا اللي قالوا الناس. It would take 3 months to restore the vases. هذا اللي قالوا الناس. مثلا هل هي إنها تستغرق 3 شهور لترميم الفازات. Special technology was needed to restore the vases. إذا وش قالوا الناس؟ ما نبغى اللي حصل. إيش اللي قالوا الناس؟ حنسمع ونشوف. The man had to pay for the damage. كان لازم يدفع للضرر اللي صار. Was banned. منع from the museum. من المتحف. Was arrested by the police. تم القبض عليه من قبل الشرطة. نسمع ونعرف الإجابة. Number 5. The 2 speakers think that the accident was entirely the man's fault. شايفينها غلطة الرجل. المتحدثتين المرأتين. الكلام هذا صح ولا تختار غيره بي. Think that it was the museum's fault. إنها غلطة المتحف. Disagree about whose fault it was. مختلفتين المرأتين. ما هم على نفس الرأي. كل واحدة تقول هي غلطة كذا المتحف واللي تقول غلطة الرجل. تعالوا نشوف مع بعض الإكسرسايز. Okay. بسم الله.
Unit 4. Listening.
Of course, you are going to listen. Once we reach the answer, I'll do it. So please try to be if I stop, if I pause, it means there is an answer here. حاول تجد الإجابة قبلي, okay?
Exercise 2.
Have you read this story about the man and these vases?
No. What happened?
Well, he was in a museum. Let's see. The British Museum, it says here, in London. He was walking down some stairs when he tripped over his shoelace.
Tripped over, تعرقل, shoelace, هذا هو الشوليس. الحبل هذا كان طالع مفكوك. So be careful next for you, huh? Try to tighten your shoelace. Don't make it loose. لا تخليه متحرك كذا ولا تحصل لك مصايب مثل هالرجل.
Fell into a big Chinese vase on the windowsill.
Oh no! He knocked it over?
Yes.
إذا المفروض إنها كم فازة إلى الآن؟
It fell onto the floor and smashed into thousands of pieces. But that's not all. There were 2 other vases on the windowsill, and as the first one fell, it knocked into the other 2.
Oh, what a disaster!
So choose your answer. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 vases. What is it? Yes, 3. واحدة من البداية 1 in the windowsill في حافة النافذة اللي حاطينها وبعدها طيحت معها 2. So the answer is 3. That's it. Okay?
Did they all break?
Sadly, they did. The man tried to catch one of them, but he wasn't fast enough.
Oof. Were they expensive?
Well, it says here they were priceless.
Wow.
لها آلاف السنوات كانت إيش تعتبر؟ A, B, C. B. Too valuable. غالية جدا لدرجة إنهم قادرين يحطوا لها سعر واختصرتها بكلمة واحدة قالت priceless.
They must have been very old vases.
Yes, at least 1,000 years old.
طبعا هنا كان يفترض أن ينتظر شوي. بعض الناس كان ممكن يختار هذه 1000 هنا ما 1000 pounds هي 1000 years old. 1000 سنة يفترض أن ينتظر شوي بس راحت.
There weren't any others like them. Look, here's a photo before the accident.
Oh, they were beautiful. It's such a shame.
Such a shame. يا للعار.
What did the museum do? I suppose you can't do very much with thousands of pieces of broken vase.
كسرت آلاف القطع.
Well, that's the amazing thing. People said that it would be impossible to restore the vases, but then...
هذا رأي الناس. إيش رأيك A, B, C? A. الناس ظنوا إنه ما حيتم. قالوا it would be impossible. The vases couldn't be restored. لا يمكن إعادة ترميمها. تخيل آلاف thousands of pieces from three vases, not only one. So it was a difficult job.
An expert took all the pieces and used special technology to start rebuilding them.
إذا لاحظوا هنا إجابة في special technology بس هذا ما كان رأي مين؟ ما كان رأي الناس.
He worked for 3 months.
واشتغل كم؟ 3 months بس هذا ما كان رأي الناس. الناس وش كان رأيها؟ لا يمكن ترميمها.
And managed to put all the pieces back together again.
That's incredible. What happened to the man?
The people from the museum asked him how it had happened, and he told them it was an accident. Then they asked him if he realised the vases had been priceless, and he said he had no idea. He felt very bad about it.
شعر بالسوء. تخيل انك تكسر شيء لأكثر من 1000 سنة.
Did they make him pay for the damage?
No, they didn't, because it was an accident.
وش رأيك؟ لسه ما جت الإجابة.
But they told him he wasn't allowed to come to the museum anymore.
I'm not surprised he wasn't allowed back.
Okay. إيش صار للرجل? What happened? A, B, C, 2, 3. It was B. He was
But he should have...
banned. He was banned. منع. He was banned. He was not allowed to come to the museum again. كان ممنوع أن يرجع للميوزيوم. تعالوا الآن نسمع آرائهم. هل كانوا مختلفين ولا متفقين المرأتين؟
Had to pay something towards the damage, even if it was an accident.
I'm not so sure. I mean, he didn't intend to smash the vases. Besides, the museum should have put them in a safer place. Behind glass, maybe. Instead, they were on a windowsill near a staircase with no protection. That was an accident waiting to happen. I'm surprised nothing had happened to them sooner.
Then وش رأيك هنا? What happened? Did they agree that it was an accident, or it was the museum's fault, or did they disagree? Great, they disagreed. ما اتفقوا, كانوا مختلفين. Okay, page number 44, speaking. Work with a partner, discuss these questions. شايفين الأنشطة, activities. Do you ever go on school trips? عمرك حصل الشيء هذا؟ رحلات مدرسية. If so, what type of places do you usually go to? وش أنواع الأماكن اللي تروح لها؟ شو بين أنواع الأنشطة المختلفة. Did you go on school trips when you were at primary school? Where did you go? رحت في المرحلة الابتدائية. طب وين رحت بالضبط? Okay. You can make your own answers in English, please. Okay. Later, speaking, work with a partner, look at the pictures, take it in turns to describe what you can see. What can you see here? Please pause the video and make sentences. You can say, for example, I'll help you with this. People dancing with swords. يرقصوا بالسيوف. You can make different answers here, okay? Say what is happening and what the people are doing. وش قاعدين يسوون الناس هنا؟ وش اللي قاعد يصير؟ Listening. Listen to a teenager talking about a school trip. في عندنا teenager. What was special for her? وش الشيء المميز لها? Which pictures are similar to her experience? أي واحدة اللي تدل عليها? Which one?
Unit 4. Developing speaking. Exercise 3.
Do you remember any particular school trips?
Oh, yes. The one I remember the most was about 2 years ago when I went to a recording of a poetry program with my class. Oh, and with our teacher, of course.
Where was that?
It was at a small TV studio near to the center of my hometown.
And what happened? Why do you remember it?
Well, at first, it wasn't anything special. It was a bit boring, to be honest. But later, after about half an hour, the presenter asked if anybody had a poem they wanted to read. I was really shy when I was smaller, but I used to write poems. All my friends knew I'd written one that was on the wall of the classroom. So they started to say, Rana has a poem.
رنا عندها قصيدة.
Rana has a poem. So the presenter asked me to go up onto the stage. At first, I said I didn't want to, but in the end, she kept on insisting, and so I went.
How did you feel?
Oh, I was really frightened. It was embarrassing because I'd never read anything in public, apart from with friends. Anyway, I wasn't sure I could remember all of the words. I was so nervous that at first nobody could hear me. But after a minute...
Okay, of course you understand that this is the picture that's showing your case. Now, work with a partner. Are these sentences... Oh, sorry, we still have something to finish. Yes.
Or two, I started to feel more relaxed and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
At the end, all of the audience was clapping and shouting my name. It was an amazing experience.
What happened next?
Next, they asked if I'd written any more poems. I said I didn't have one that was ready, just one that wasn't quite finished. But they asked me to read it anyway, so I did. Later on, everybody said that the best thing about the school trip was my poetry. I think that's why I enjoy reading and writing poetry so much now.
What a wonderful experience. كانت تجربة رائعة. طلعت مرة وصفقوها وحمسوها. That's what we should do. If someone has some kind of talent, we should encourage him or her, not just saying, no, this is bad. We try to encourage. Okay. Speaking, work with a partner. Are these sentences T true or F false? Correct the false sentences. The school trip happened quite recently. حصلت مؤخرا. T or F? 1, 2, 3. T. The girl enjoyed the TV program at first. استمتعت في TV program في البداية. 1, 2, 3. F. She wanted to go on stage because she was pleased with her poem. هي اللي كانت تبغى الشيء ده. 1, 2, 3. F. The girl was very embarrassed at first. كانت منحرجة في البداية. But later she really enjoyed herself. بعدين استمتعت بنفسها يعني استمتعت بوقتها وشعرت بأنها مرتاحة. T. She only read one poem. فقط واحد. F. لأنه بعدين طلبوا منها واحدة ثانية وأعطتهم إياها. Okay, listen again and take the words and expressions that you hear in the speaking bank. Okay, شوف عندنا في speaking bank نضع علامة الصح. Okay, مع كل مرة تذكر واحدة من هالكلمات في useful words and expressions for reporting past events عشان نتكلم عن حدث سابق. كلمات مثل إيش؟ At first, next, later, first, then, a few seconds later, a few minutes later, a few hours later, a few days later, after 10 minutes, half an hour, a while, okay, after a while, after 10 minutes, after half an hour, after a while, after that, finally, in the end. طبعا بعضها حيذكر أكثر من مرة فحنضع علامات صح. We will check. Some of them will be mentioned with different form. بعضهم حيذكر بشكل مختلف. اللي حيصير إني حوقف. إذا وقفت try to find the word that we have. Okay.
Unit 4. Developing speaking. Exercise 3.
Do you remember any particular school trips?
Oh, yes. The one I remember the most was about 2 years ago when I went to a recording of a poetry program with my class. Oh, and with our teacher, of course.
Where was that?
It was at a small TV studio near to the center of my hometown.
And what happened? Why do you remember it?
Well, at first...
Yeah. You see, at first.
It wasn't anything special. It was a bit boring, to be honest. But later, after about half an hour, the presenter asked if anybody had a poem they wanted to read. I was really shy when I was smaller, but I used to write poems. All my friends knew I'd written one that was on the wall of the classroom. So they started to say, "Rana has a poem! Rana has a poem!" So the presenter asked me to go up onto the stage. At first, I said I didn't want to, but in the end, she kept on insisting, and so I
In the end.
went.
How did you feel?
Oh, I was really frightened. It was embarrassing because I'd never read anything in public, apart from with friends. Anyway, I wasn't sure I could remember all of the words. I was so nervous that at first, nobody
3 times. At first. في البداية.
could hear me. But after a minute or two,
After a minute or two.
I started to feel more relaxed and enjoy myself. At the end, all of the audience was clapping and shouting my name.
At the end. تشبه in the end. قلنا at the end.
It was an amazing experience.
What happened next?
Next.
They asked if I'd written any more poems. I said I didn't have one that was ready. Just one that wasn't quite finished, but they asked me to read it anyway, so I did. Later on, everybody
later on شبيهة بها.
said that the best thing about the school trip was my poetry. I think that's why I enjoy reading and writing poetry so much now.
Okay, I hope you have enjoyed it too. Okay, developing speaking, workbook page number 30. This is the last exercise in our unit 4. Describing past event, exercise 1. Put these useful words and expressions into the correct column. So we have 3 columns here. At the beginning of a description, وش نقول في بداية الوصف. In the middle of a description, وش الكلمات المستخدمة. At the end of a description. Take your time. I'm going to read it and give you a few seconds to pause and do the exercise. A few minutes later, after a while, after that, at first, finally, first, in the end, next, then. So please pause the video, do the exercise, then check the answers with me. Pause it right now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can do the exercise. Okay, now you return to me. At the beginning of a description, وش الكلمات تستخدمها at the beginning في البداية؟ At first, first. Okay. In the middle, after a while, a few minutes later, next, then. Not sure if there is anything. Yeah, I think yes, after that. At the end في النهاية, in the end, finally. Now read this dialogue and choose the correct alternatives. What's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you? That's easy. It was when my mom asked me to go to a poetry reading with her. So what happened? At first ولا next؟ وش نقول؟ Great at first نحن في البداية. I said I didn't want to go but she was disappointed. كان خاب ظنها وعملها. So I went and it was awful. كان شيء مو طيب. After a while ولا first? Choose. Great. First, أولا, we missed the bus and were nearly late. هذا أول مشكلة حصلت. Okay. In the end ولا next? Next. Excellent. We realized that everybody was wearing smart clothes. كلهم كانوا لابسين لبس متأنقين ومتشيكين. I was in jeans and trainers. كان لابس جينز وأحذية عادية حقت ركض. Then the curtain ارتفعت الستارة went up and nothing happened for ages. ما صار شيء. سكوت. Okay. After a while, well, after that, I asked mom what was going on. هل هي after a while ولا after that? After a while. And people behind me told me to be quiet and started laughing. بدأوا بالضحك. I knew it was bad, but I couldn't stop. لم أستطع أن أتوقف. First of all, finally, mom got so angry that she said we had to leave. Okay? Then finally, in the end, well, a few minutes later, we stayed until the interval, but حتى الفواصل. She's never forgotten that evening. ما نسيت تلك الأمسية. Then, in the end, and she'll never take me to a poetry reading again. ما راح تاخذني لقراءة الشعر منصات قراءة الشعر مرة أخرى. That's all for today. Thank you very much for following me. This is the end of Unit 4. So please stay at home and be safe. This is your host, teacher Yousef Alshorbaji. Thank you for following me. Goodbye. مع السلامة.